Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stonestreet. We're here with our Horse of the Year and Kentucky Oaks winner, Rachel Alexandra. Thank you guys for joining us today. So we'll visit with Rachel here for a little bit, and then in a minute we'll go and visit with Lady Samurai, who's the dam of Candy Raid, racing in the Kentucky Oaks this year. So we do have a storm coming in. We came into the barn to hopefully avoid some of the wind, but I apologize if there's any interference as we go through. So Rachel, of course, was the Horse of the Year and champion 3-year-old filly of 2009. Rachel joined Stonestreet Stables after her Kentucky Oaks win. When she won the Oaks, she conquered that race by over 20 lengths. She was absolutely dominant in the Kentucky Oaks. She crossed the finish line a full 5 seconds ahead of the horse in second place. She was the first filly in 85 years to win the Preakness Stakes. She defeated the Kentucky Derby winner in the Preakness. She beat Mind That Bird. And later in the year, she raced in the Haskell Stakes. And she beat Summerbird, who won that year's Belmont Stakes. So you could almost say that she won the Triple Crown in her racing career. And she went on to cap off her season by winning the Woodward Stakes against older males. And for her season, she was named not only the champion 3-year-old filly, but also the Horse of the Year. 2009, she returned to the track in 2010. She was a graded stakes winner then as well. And she joined the Stonestreet Broodmare Band. And she has had 2 foals. She's had Jess's Dream, who's now standing at Ocala Stud. And she's also had Rachel's Valentina, who's by Bernardini. She was a Grade 1 winner, just like Mom. She won the Spinaway Stakes. She actually won the Spinaway on the anniversary of Rachel's Woodward win. And Valentina's had 4 foals. Her oldest foal is a Curlin colt who's named Alejandro. She has a 3-year-old filly by Pioneer of the Nile named Ambassador Kelly. She has a 2-year-old filly by Curlin, and then she just had an Into Mischief colt this year. Now Rachel here is by Medaglia d'Oro, and you can see she's a very powerful, well-built mare. She's actually the same size as her stallion Medaglia d'Oro, so she's 16'2". She's out of a mare named Lotta Kim, born in 2006. And since she's come and joined the farm here, she had those 2 foals I mentioned. She had some complications when she delivered Rachel's Valentina. So though she is breeding sound, meaning that she could have another foal, she has not had a foal since Rachel's Valentina. She now spends her days out in her paddock with 2 mares that are retired from the band. They keep her company. She's in very, very well kept company. So she was trained by Steve Asmussen for most of her Stonestreet Stables wins, all of her Stonestreet Stables wins, ridden by Calvin Burrell. You guys have any questions about Rachel here? So she's here with Ricky, who's been taking care of her for quite a while. And Rachel, we hope to keep welcoming visitors to come and see her. So with the pandemic, we've been able to hold our See Rachel Days, which are the biannual visits with Rachel Alexandra. But we hope to continue those this year. So if you stay alert on our social media pages, that's where we'll announce our upcoming contests. Rachel's favorite treat is peppermints. Yeah, so Angie asked if she's retired. So she's retired from racing. And she is still breeding sound, so she's still capable of having foals, but she has not had a foal since Rachel's Valentina, and she's not currently in foal. Rachel's Valentina, as I mentioned, was by Bernardini. She's a Grade 1 winner like Mom, and she had an Into Mischief colt this year. And Jess's Dreams at Stud at Ocala Stud. He's been doing very well for himself. He's the sire of a graded stakes winner, continuing to be very popular with Florida breeders. So Rachel's routine here, she spends most of her day out in her paddock, and she'll come up for a breakfast and for a lunch up into this wonderful barn here. And she'll stay in for just a little while, and then she'll go right back out with her friends. She's in a paddock with 2 mares named Sally Bowles and Moonlight Sonata. Sandy asked how old is Rachel? So she was born in 2006. She is, if I can do my math here on the fly, so she's 16, right? Is that the correct number? Okay, thank you. She's a huge fan of peppermints, Deborah. She loves peppermints. So we don't have any current plans, Deb. Like I said, she's still capable of having foals, but she is not in foal and she's not been bred for next year. So Rachel's Valentina, on the other hand, like I said, she had an intermischief colt. She's been bred back to Quality Road. She has those foals on the racetrack. Her son Alejandro won about a month ago over at Oak Lawn. And she has the 2 fillies that are in training, Ambassador Kelly and a Curlin filly that does not have a name yet. So most of the mares will go barefoot here on the farm. Rachel has some supportive shoes. So Ricky, could you speak to her shoes just a little bit?
Yes. We put some glue on shoes because her foot had a little bit of wall separation undermined it. So we put the shoes on there and it's almost grown completely back out. So that's just so that she'll be more comfortable while her feet's growing back out.
Awesome. So she'll get those off pretty soon. Eventually. Excellent. So she doesn't do any type of eventing. She, like I said, she just goes out into her paddock. She gets to be a horse. She comes up into the barn twice a day, and then she does all of these shows and meets her fans. Ricky, would you be able to walk her down and back for us? That was Ellen's request. I'll move down here for a little bit. So Leigh asked if there was a reason she wasn't bred this year. So when she had Rachel's Valentina, she had some foaling complications. And so just for her safety, she's not been bred back. But as I said, she's still capable of having foals. She's just not in foal. Here she is with her iconic blaze. Walk around her a little bit as well. You guys have any other questions about Rachel? She is 16'2", Melanie. So she's a very tall mare. She is the same size as Dagladioro. So she's a big, powerful mare, and that really helped her out on the racetrack, which, of course, I mentioned she was a champion as well as a horse of the year. She won the Preakness Stakes. She won the Haskell. She won the Woodward. Does she have any interesting habits or likes? Let's see. I've seen her play in her water quite a bit, and she enjoys playing with her friends. And she's a big fan of both dogs and babies. So if somebody has one around, she is at attention. And she'll pick up little clumps of grass in the field as well and swing them around for a little bit just to play. Yeah, she's very laid back, Elaine. She looks like she's very sweet, and she is very sweet. You want to speak to her demeanor a little bit, Ricky?
Oh, yes. She's very sweet. She likes attention. Of course, she'll let you know what she wants. She'll nudge you if she wants to be patted on, things of that sort. So she is quite a character. She's very, very nice to be with.
She very much knows she's the star of the show as well. Does anyone else have any questions? I want to make sure you get plenty of time to ask. Ooh. So the designs of this barn is great. to let the breeze come through, but on these windier days, I apologize for the interference. So Melanie asked if she got any exercise in a walker or if she's ridden. So she's not walked or she doesn't go on the walker and she's not ridden. But like I said, she spends almost 24/7 in her paddock. She really only comes up twice a day. She gets a breakfast and a lunch. The rest of the time she's out, running up and down the hills, playing with her friends. So she can get plenty of exercise that way. So we don't have to do any additional exercise with her. So Sue asked how many foals she has had. She's had 2. So she had a son named Jess's Dream, who's by Curlin. He was born in 2012. And then she had a filly in 2013 named Rachel's Valentina. She's by Bernardini. And her son, Jess's Dream, he is standing down at Ocala Stud. And Rachel's Valentina is part of the Stonestreet Broodmare Band. She's had several foals for us. Most recently, she had Colt by Into Mischief. She's such a big mare. I'm trying to keep her in the frame. And so we're getting ready to run the Kentucky Oaks here on Friday. Rachel, of course, was the winner of the Kentucky Oaks in 2009. Like I mentioned, she won that race by just a huge margin. She won by 20 lengths. She's a complete tour de force, as the call says. It's the widest win margin in that race's history. And we'll have a few Stonestreet connections that will be running in this Friday's Kentucky Oaks. We have Candy Raid, who is a filly that we bred here on the farm, and we're getting ready to go see her half-sister here in a little bit, as well as Nest, who is a filly by Curlin that we trained, who I believe at the moment is the favorite in that race. No, she doesn't really have a nickname. If we shorten her name, we'll just call her Rachel. Sorry, that was Melanie's question of if she has a nickname. So Rachel has a full sister named Samantha Nicole, who is in our Broodmare Band. She had a filly this year by Speightstown. And Samantha also raced in Stonestreet Stables. No, she was not in Champion like her half-sister. She was a winner. So Rachel's family is growing and expanding over the years. They have one other full sister named Gladys, who is currently racing. Does anyone have any other questions? Make sure we get them all in. So this is pretty typical of when we do meetings with Rachel, is that she starts to fall asleep over the course of the tours. So the Stonestreet tours are $20, Betty. And the proceeds from those tours, will go to New Vocations. So you can come and see some mares and foals, as well as make a donation to a wonderful organization in New Vocations who they retrain and rehome racehorses. Any horse that does not enter our Stonestreet breeding program will go to New Vocations. Anyone else have any questions? So Rachel here was inducted into the Hall of Fame following her racing career. She earned over $3 million. Of course, she was a dual champion. She's an all-around very impressive mare. that storm is coming. Hopefully it won't start to rain when we're out in the paddock with Lady Samurai, but we'll see. So does anyone else have any questions about Rachel? I can take a look through the barn before we head over to the next barn. Kathy asked who owned her at the beginning of her racing career. I'm sorry, I took a pause so I could remember. And I don't remember at this current moment. There's a lot of information stuffed into my head, but that apparently is not something that is near the surface. But I can comment. I'll look that up and comment for you so you can have your answer. Ginger the barn cat wanted to come say hello as well. Do we have any other questions before we look through the barn, and then we'll head over to visit with the mare and foal? Well, if we don't have any other questions, Ricky, you can go ahead and take her back.
All right.
Thank you, Rachel. So she'll stay in here for a little bit and then she'll go out with her friends. So I'll take a walk through the barn here. See some of the stalls. Of course, all these mares and foals are out in their paddocks. So horses here at Stonestreet spend most of their time outside. These mares and foals are old enough that they are out in their paddocks overnight. They come in for a breakfast and for a lunch, like Rachel does. The rest of the time they are out. There are a few that are left here in the barn that will go out shortly. So I'm going to hop aboard my trusty golf cart. And I can't guarantee what the wind is going to be like. We do have a storm that is blowing in, but hopefully it won't interfere too much with us. So now we will head over to our Pinot Noir barn. We are leaving the Zinfandel barn and heading over to Pinot Noir. We have 5 barns here on the nursery farm. They're all named after wine varietals. It's a nod to our founder, Mr. Jess Stonestreet Jackson, as well as Barbara Banke, who are both involved in the wine industry. So we're here on the nursery farm. This property is 460 acres, home to our mares and foals. This is where we have our foaling season each year. We have about 80 foals every year. And I believe as of last night, we have 6 mares left to foal. So we are almost done with our foaling season. The last few of our mares are due on the 10th. So these mares have an 11-month gestation period. So what we do is we take the date that the mare last visited the stallion. We can count forward and estimate when she has her foal. And we can group those mares together by their estimated due dates and arrange them all in 2 barns together. So we just left the Zinfandel barn, heading to Pinot Noir. All of the foals that are in this barn were born between February and early April. So that way they're all around the same size, around the same age. So they're all in the same developmental stages. So they're able to go out into the big paddocks like we're about to see here. They can form bonds and friendships in their herd. Here comes the wind, everybody. Sorry about that. So we are arriving at the Pinot Noir barn. Head out to this field here. So we'll see, as I mentioned, the foals, the majority of which were born in March. This little guy on our left here is the youngest foal that was born in this barn. He was born on April 7th. This is the Spikestown colt out of Leslie May. So the foals are born in the barn and they graduate to these medium-sized paddocks. And when they're mature enough, they come out into these big fields. We'll pop out and see if we can catch Lady Samurai and her filly. Let me know if the wind is severe here, guys. So I mentioned these guys are out most of the day. This field in particular, these mares are very friendly. So I'm getting ready to be swarmed by a bunch of mares coming to say hello. Anyone have any questions as I go along? Pop those up. Found the herd here. So these mares and foals, well, the mares will stay here until the foals are weaned. Then they will travel, the mares will, to a separate farm that we have here in Kentucky. And the foals stay behind. They'll stay in these groups that they've been in. So that way when they're weaned, they're still out with their friends. They'll keep their same routine as well. They turn a little bit, so hopefully the wind is not quite as bad for you all. So yeah, Jerry asked if we rotate paddocks. So we do. We have a few paddocks at the moment that are not in use. And we'll let them relax for a little bit and grow before we start putting horses back out again. So we'll see who we have out here to visit with. So here's Foolish Living. So I'm a looker for Quality Road Colt. Here's Lady Pauline. If you're familiar with horses we've bred, this is the half-sister to Lady Aurelia. Lady Pauline here was a TDN Rising Star in her first start at Keeneland. Hi, sweetheart. She has a Uncle Mo filly this year. It's Emma Looker's colt. Lady Pauline and her Uncle Mo filly. Lady Aurelia had a Into Mischief filly this year. This way. Here's Mannerly and her Tappet filly. You can see this filly's going to go gray just like her mother. She's got those little gray hairs around her eyes. So the mares aren't blindfolded. They have fly mask on. Just protects them from flies and any other nagging insects. Just one added layer of protection for them. Hi. They can see through them, kind of like a screen door. And Kim, the number of mares will depend on the size of the paddock. So this is a larger paddock, so we have a larger group. And when we have smaller fields, we can have as many as 10 mares in a field or 5. Hi, sweetheart. Again, these guys are spending most of their time outside in these groups. Ooh, I have a buddy. So these are some of the mares and foals that you will see if you come on our tour. Yeah, we have tours on Fridays and Saturdays at 1 o'clock. Hey. Here's Kawaii Katie and her Nyquist filly. Oh, don't get jealous. You're okay. Hi. So we have a mixture of mares that we purchased to join our band here, as well as mares that are graduates of our racing stable, as well as homebreds. So Kawaii Katie here racing Stonestreet Stables. Behind her, this is Katie's Kiss, her Good Magic colt. And she's got this Nyquist filly this year. Katie's Kiss has a Good Magic colt. So the Good Magic foals are 2-year-olds this year. So we'll be seeing them on the racetrack for the first time. We have high hopes for them. And he, Good Magic himself, was born right here in this barn back in 2015. Of course, he was the champion 2-year-old colt of 2017. He won at the Breeders' Cup. He won the Bluegrass as well as the Haskell Stakes. Victoria, we are in Lexington. We have 3 farms total in Kentucky. We have this farm here. We have a yearling farm. And we have a farm that we don't really have a formal name for that's off Highway 64. So the life cycle, if you will, between these farms is that the foals are born here in our foaling season of January and May. They will stay here when the mares are weaned. And they go over to that second mare farm. Ooh, you're okay. They will go over to that second mare facility. The foals stay behind in the groups that they've been in since they were born. They'll stay here until their older siblings at the yearling farm have sold. At that point, they transfer to the yearling farm. We clear this farm out, get ready for next year's foaling season. Again, when these mares travel back here from the second mare farm, they will be arranged in those groups by their expected foaling dates. That's how we make sure that they all have their foals around the same time. They're all the same age. So again, these guys will stay in this group even when they are weaned. And they'll keep that routine of coming in for breakfast and for lunch every day. That way we can ease them into their weanling life. So the stars of our show are getting ready to join the scene. Does anyone have any other questions before we go? And we'll see Lady Samurai and her filly. So when asked if these mares are bred back, a lot of them are, not all of them. So mares with their 11-month gestation period, they naturally go back into, they naturally start reproducing pretty quickly after they have their foals. We'll give them a little bit of time, reevaluate each mare. So each mare is an individual, and they're not guaranteed to have a foal each year. If they are not in foal, they'll remain over at that second mare farm. We'll breed them from that farm and bring them back here if they are in foal. And if for whatever reason they're not in foal, they'll just stay on that second mare farm. That's also where they go when they retire. So we've got a herd of about 20 retired mares that live over in that second mare farm, one of whom is the Wildcat Speed, who is Lady Pauline over there by the water. That is her dam, the dam of Lady Aurelia. She had her last foal last year. She had a Justified colt. We'll go and see Lady Samurai here. She's got a McLean's Music filly. So Lady Samurai, as I mentioned earlier, she's the dam of Candy Raid, who is going to be racing in the Kentucky Oaks. Candy Raid is a Candy Ride filly. She won the Bernadette Oaks. That's how she earned her berth in the Kentucky Oaks. Lady Samurai here, she's also the dam of Last Samurai, who is a Malibu Moon colt. He just won the Oaklawn Park Handicap. This is their half-sister by McLean's Music. She's a beautiful filly. Anybody have any questions here about Lady Samurai and her filly? come say hello to you guys. Hi. Are you going to be a stakes winner like your siblings? Both Candy Raid and Last Samurai sold over at the Keeneland September sale. Possible we could see this filly here there in a year's time. So at Stonestreet, we breed the best racehorses that we can, whether they run in our Stonestreet Silks or they race for other farms. So Malathot was a champion last year. She won last year's Kentucky Oaks. She was the champion 3-year-old filly. She was born in this Pinot Noir barn as well. So this filly's keeping very good company. And she is a filly who went to the Keeneland September sale, and she sold for over $1 million. Now races for Shadwell Farm. Of course, she was the champion 3-year-old filly of last year, and she just won her 4-year-old debut in the Double Dog Dare Stakes. So Melanie asked when the foals start on grain. So these guys right now, if we were to go into the barn, you'd see there's 2 rungs, 4 feed tubs. There's one up high and one down low. So these foals are young enough that they're not eating mom's grain just yet. So the feed tub is hung up high. So what we're doing is effectively preventing them from growing too big too quickly. So we're monitoring their growth rates, making sure that they don't pop up, that they're growing at a nice even rate. As they mature, that tub will come down and they'll start to share in mom's grain. See, I think Lady Samurai dribbled a couple of bits of grain from her lunch onto her filly. But for the most part, they are getting the lion's share of their nutrients from their paddock here, because they spend so much time outside. They spend a lot of time grazing. That's the majority of what they will eat. And of course, they'll nurse from mom as well. Hi, filly. Sweetheart. Big gust of wind, huh? We have any other questions about these two? So I mentioned these foals are out most of the day. They come in for a breakfast and for a lunch. That is the point. So speaking of tours, Angie asked if we have any tours this week before the Oaks. So we do not have any tours this week, but we will again next week. We'll have tours at 1 p.m. on both Friday and Saturday. And you'll see these guys as they come in for their lunch. Susan asked how many years we've been Stonestreet. So this farm was purchased in 2005, this particular property. That was also the year that Stonestreet Stables had its very first graded stakes winner in Forest Music. That launched the Stonestreet Stables. But considering the operation itself has been around since 2005, the fact that we've bred champions like Gamine, Malathot, Good Magic, My Miss Aurelia really stands to the land that we have here, the way that we raise our horses, letting them be horses, as well as the quality of the brood mares that we have. So Lady Samurai, I mentioned she's the dam of a stakes winner and a graded stakes winner. With any luck, Candy Raid will be a graded stakes winner in the Kentucky Oaks on Friday. And she's just one of the many amazing mares that we have in the band. The great mares producing great foals. We raise on great land. It produces great success. Anybody else have any other questions? Hi. very friendly. So Kim asked if the handlers will stay with the foals through yearling. So we have two different divisions on the broodmare farm and the yearling farm. So typically, no, they wouldn't follow the same foal, at least not working with them. But most of us keep track of, all these foals when they go to the racetrack. We have updates on our social media and our newsletters on what all of our horses are doing. And so we keep track of our stars here. Bob asks if this baby was an improbable offspring. No, she is by McLean's Music. Gender, this baby was born in March. She and the majority of the foals that are in this paddock. So Troy asked how often we feed them. So they're out on pasture most of the day, and they can nurse for mom whenever they want. And we bring them into the barn for lunch once a day, and then we bring them in for breakfast as well. So they come into the barn twice a day. When they come in, we take their temperatures. We also run our hands down their legs. We're keeping track, if they bump or scrape themselves out in their paddock, we can catch that right away. And it's also just getting them used to handling. Melanie asked if we're sad when they leave. Of course we are. But we're very happy for them when they succeed on the racetrack, whether they are wearing these Stonestreet silks or not. So Francis asked how babies like her are named. So at the moment, these babies are all their mom's name and the year that they are born. So she's the 22 Lady Samurai. She does not have a name just yet. So we would call her that. If she has a specific barn nickname, I'm not aware of it. But so they don't get their names until they're ready to race or breed. So they need their official name in order to, actually perform with the jockey club. So we don't name any of the horses when they go to the yearling sales. Because if they're going to be purchased, we want the owner to have the luxury of naming their horse themselves. We at Stonestreet, so we name our horses when they're 2-year-olds getting ready to race. We have a newsletter that goes out every month. We have on the back a list of all the horses that need names. And we can submit suggestions. Of course, Barbara Banke has the final say on what she names her horses, but if she chooses one of your suggestions, you get $100, and the horse, of course, races in your name, which is pretty cool. What age are they sold? So we sell the majority of our horses as as yearlings. We've been the leading breeder of sales yearlings for several years in a row. And often the distance is not super visible through the trees. You can almost make out the Keeneland Water Tower, and we'll sell the lion's share of our horses through the Keeneland September sale. So last year, our highest price yearling sold for $1.6 million. That was a colt out of a Malibu Moon mare named Catch the Moon. It's by Quality Road. So he is a half-brother to graded stakes winners like Pirate's Punch, as well as Gervin and Midnight Bourbon. He's just recently been named. His name is Way Hill Road. So if you want to follow him as a racehorse, as well as for all the horses that you may see on our tour, or if you see the foals on our Facebook page, if you remember the year that they're born and their mom's name, you can plug that information into Equibase and follow these horses as they grow and head to the racetrack. So I think the filly is announcing she's done with the tour. If you guys have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. Sorry, big gust of wind coming through. So Paula asked if the foals will naturally run with their friends. Of course, they'll run and play and jump on these rolling hills. That's where they really grow and develop the strong bone and muscle that they'll take to the racetrack. It's one of the ways that we help them grow is we leave them out so they can spend that time running and jumping and building those strong bones and muscle. Just letting them be horses is right over the cusp of the hill here. You can see some of the foals demonstrating how they play. Angie asked how you can follow us on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook page, you can either like or follow our page, get notifications when we post. We also have a Twitter and Instagram and a TikTok. So you can feel free to follow us on any of those platforms to stay up to date on our horses. Ginger asked how long the gestation period for horses is. It's about 11 months. Some mares can go a little over and some may foal early. It just depends on the individual mare. Kathy asked about memorizing names and race wins. So I've been here for 5 years now. So I know quite a lot of these mares, and some of these younger mares like Lady Pauline, I knew her when she was a baby. So it's cool seeing these mares grow and see all their families expand. This field again, this is the, there you can see them playing off in the distance. So this is the group that we'll see. If you come on the tour, you can see them up close and personal and enjoy the scenery, hopefully with just a little bit less wind. So I've been introducing these guys to people for a couple of weeks now. So if no one else has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'll thank you guys very much for joining me. If you have any other questions, please feel free to message us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll get that answered for you and cheer on Candy Raid, as well as we have a few other Stonestreet breds that will be running in Oaks and Derby Day races. We have Pauline's Pearl and Hendy Woods will be competing on Kentucky Oaks Day. And My Prankster, Necker Island, and a few others will be competing on Kentucky Derby Day. So cheer them on. We are at 99 graded stakes wins for Stonestreet bred horses, so we are looking for that 100th winner. And on Friday, we'll post a contest to our Facebook page and have you guys guess which horse you think will be our 100th graded stakes winner. So if you'd like to win some Stonestreet swag, follow us and stay up to date when that contest gets posted. And you'll be entered to win. So thank you all very much for joining me.